What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. Today we're talking about this.
So before we get to your videos, let's just wrap up on disclosure. Okay. I tend to not trust anyone from intelligence, military intelligence, naval intelligence, Air Force intelligence, pre-approved from the Pentagon. These sound like spokespeople to me, not whistleblowers.
My understanding is that Dr. Stephen Greer, the long-time disclosure advocate and a chap who's basically headed the disclosure project that goes back 20, 25, 30 years, he has talked about a lieutenant colonel, or a lieutenant colonel as we call it in the weird part of the world, from Edwards Air Force Base, who allegedly worked with ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles.
Recently, we had a lieutenant colonel come forward who was the guy who trained and managed the pilots at Edwards Air Force Base, going back to the previous ones, that flew the man-made UFOs. And he has already gone, I've already brought him to Senate Intel and Armed Services so he could share information. He is willing to and wants to testify openly.
All right, Vetters, please hit that like button. That really helps out the videos. And of course, if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. All right, Vetters, so what's today's video about? Well, it's about allegedly some whistleblowers that are coming forward, maybe the same one that different people are talking about. No way to really know, but allegedly some whistleblower who is more credible than any other whistleblower that's come forward with potential ties directly to the legacy UFO program might be coming forward. So it involves Eric Burleson, Stephen Greer, Ross Coulthart, David Grush, and more. We'll get into it. And I've also got an amazing UFO video to show y'all, so make sure to stay tuned till the end. And some very relevant comments from AJ from the Y-Files, has a brand new podcast called The Basement. It's absolutely amazing. They just released their first episode with Mike Vera. And so I've got a couple clips from that to show y'all because it's absolutely relevant to what we're talking about in this video. We're going to be talking about ARVs as well, alien reproduction vehicles. So we've got a lot to cover. Let's jump in.
Rep. Eric Burleson recently said in an interview, there will be a major new whistleblower coming forward with firsthand knowledge, possibly from the Legacy program, and he could be the most credible to date. Does Ross know anything about this new whistleblower?
Look, I'm not sure specifically which whistleblower Eric Burleson is talking about because I'm actually aware of several. Yes, I know it's a frustrating time right now. I know there is not a lot happening publicly on the UAP issue, that it seems like Congress has rolled over and let the Pentagon tickle their tummy like supine little puppies. But the reality is, behind the scenes, there are good people in Congress who are asking hard questions, and there are whistleblowers coming forward. I've been responsible for referring a few of them on. So I'm not 100% sure which person Eric Burleson is talking about. But in a December 2025 interview with our friend and colleague Matt Laszlo, who runs the superb site Ask a Poll, where he doorstops politicians in and around the Congress, Burleson stated, quote, "There is one person who is a new whistleblower that they have a lead on," I think he's talking about the Oversight Committee there, "who might go public." And my understanding is he described this evidence as this whistleblower's evidence as building on evidence that had come from David Grush. And he emphasised that it was important to get witnesses comfortable for SCIF briefings, that's briefings inside a secure, closed facility, or potential hearings, maybe even potential public testimony. And we don't know any more than that.
So again, this is very interesting. Right. First of all, Ross says he's been talking to other whistleblowers that he's passed on. Apparently, there's just all these whistleblowers out there. And it almost seems like they just bring out a couple every year, right? Just kind of keep us going here, right? Because you don't want to just bring everybody out, even though that would be the best thing to do, in my opinion. But it's like just every, you know what I mean? Every year this happens, same time in January, we got all these promises of whistleblowers that are going to be coming out. They're going to be coming out. I don't know, just very interesting. This sort of what I like to call breadcrumb disclosure. But either way, so Ross isn't sure exactly who Representative Eric Burleson is talking about. And it is interesting that he says that he's this whistleblower is building off of what David Grush had come out and said, right? Now, look, I went and tried to find this interview where maybe Eric Burleson gave some more details. Now, he quotes a Askapol UAP interview that I definitely covered before, and I have the clip for you, but Eric Burleson doesn't say anything like what Ross Coulthart is saying. So it's almost like Ross has other information, right, that just hadn't been talked about yet. So let's take a look and then I'll explain.
Right now we're focused on getting some people behind, in a skiff, who might feel comfortable talking, who would not be comfortable at this time going public.
Yeah.
There's one person that's a new whistleblower that we have a lead on that might go public.
Interesting.
And so we look at that.
Is that... Wait, wanted a minute to skip first. That's
just whatever they feel comfortable with.
Yeah.
So you can see right there, I mean, Eric Burleson just like, honestly, it feels like he doesn't even want to talk to Matt Laszlo when you listen to the rest of that little mini interview. It's like just a couple minutes. And I just found that to be quite interesting. So there's this new whistleblower, who may come out, and I don't know where this legacy program information is coming from, right? And essentially they just want to get him in a skiff, right? And get talking about this. Now, I have heard some different theories about this, right? Like they try to get whistleblowers in skiffs so they can then classify everything they just said, whether it's true or not. And then they're kind of stuck, right? And I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. Is that possible? But it's also like, hey, we need to get you a skiff so you can reveal this classified stuff. But then there's also the argument that I've heard that, well, if they're illegal operations, they're NDAs or anything, it doesn't matter, right? They can say this stuff to Congress without going in a skiff. They're legally allowed. So I don't know. Again, just spider web, right? So Eric Burleson did say this recently in another interview as well.
I have a whistleblower right now that came in my office, and we had a declassified briefing, on an unclassified level. But there's a lot that I can't get from him, or that he would be willing to give me if we were able to be in a secure setting and we had approval or clearance to do so. And yet have to bend over backwards and do a lot. And at this point, haven't been able to get him into a skiff to have that kind of level of briefing. So it's extremely frustrating.
Right. So again, you never know which whistleblower they're talking about and who's coming forward. And what is the definition of whistleblower anymore? I feel like whistleblower has just the connotation has sort of lost its oomph. Right? It's just like, oh, another quote whistleblower coming out, right? It's just like there was this Tulsi Gabbard whistleblower that came out recently. This was all over the news. Everyone was talking about national security, this, that, you know what I mean? Supposedly the UFO stuff is bigger than anything. Yet when a quote whistleblower comes out, nothing really happens, right? So again, just very interesting. But regardless, let me know what you think down in the comments. Now, let's get to the second part of this clip where Ross addresses the Stephen Greer whistleblower. And is this the same one that, Eric Burleson is talking about?
The only other person who's really talked publicly about a potential new whistleblower, my understanding is that Dr. Stephen Greer, the longtime disclosure advocate and a chap who's basically headed the Disclosure Project that goes back 20, 25, 30 years, he has talked about a lieutenant colonel, or a lieutenant colonel as we call it in the weird part of the world, from Edwards Air Force Base, who allegedly worked with ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles. Now, that person hasn't come forward yet. I sincerely hope this is true, and maybe that's the person that Eric Burleson is talking about. But aside from that, I am aware that there are individuals coming forward. Frankly, I'll be honest with you, I don't know what the hell the Senate Armed Services Committee or the Senate Intelligence Committee are doing with the witness lists they've been given, but they don't seem to be doing a lot. Are they being paralysed by the committee chairperson leadership? I fear they are.
All right, so it was kind of hard to find, but I did find this clip of Stephen Greer on a live stream talking about this particular whistleblower that Stephen Greer's talking about. I mean, it literally had a couple hundred views on YouTube. Like, this was really hard to find. And he does talk about this, right? And Stephen Greer is going to bring up ARVs as well. And that's kind of interesting. I don't know if this is the same whistleblower, but I guess it could be. I don't know. Let's take a look at the clip.
Recently, we had a lieutenant colonel come forward who was the guy who trained and managed the pilots at Edwards Air Force Base, going back to the previous ones, that flew the man-made UFOs. And he has already gone. I've already brought him to Senate Intel and Armed Services so he could share information. He is willing to and wants to testify openly in the House Oversight Committee, but I've not gotten a response back from the key members of that committee, like Mrs. Luna and Burchett and others. So we're hoping that they will do that. He wants to do it. He left the Air Force in 2009, but he was read into at a very, very high level of not only Edwards, but also Nellis and Area 51 earlier, and then managed the pilots who piloted the man-made ones that came out from that underground facility there at out in the high desert near Edwards Air Force Base. So he's willing to tell everything he knows in an open hearing under oath. And he agrees with me completely that those operations, because they're illegal, he can talk about it to anyone. The problem is I can't get the members of the House Oversight Committee to stop trying to make these guys get into a skiff. And I told Congressman Burchett when he would say, "Oh, we're so upset they wouldn't give us a skiff." I said, "Thank God. You don't need a skiff. The skiff implies that these projects are legal and should be protected. They're not. Get out of the skiff. Get in front of C-SPAN. Do it in an open hearing under oath. Forget about this." But see, that assessment, you could only reach that assessment after you've really listened, studied the evidence of the inverse witnesses and the proof that the programs are illegal and unconstitutional. If they're illegal and unconstitutional, they have no cover under law. National Security Act, forget it. You cannot break the law and then say, "I'm going to use the law to protect me." No. Can't have it both ways.
And what's also interesting about this clip is, first of all, I don't know if that's the same whistleblower. There's really no way to know, right? Stephen Greer is in contact with these people as well. But is David Grush, right? It's hard to know who's getting along behind the scenes, and, they'd really be working together with whistleblowers. I don't know, right? But regardless, right? So what's also interesting about this clip is the fact that, one, this whistleblower is saying, he's sort of in charge of who's flying these, ARVs, these alien reproduction vehicles, which again implies that we do have crash craft that we've reverse engineered, and then we created our own crafts, okay, that we fly around, right, in some sort of secret space program. Is that possible? I don't know, but I like the theory a lot, right? But then there's also this whole camp in the UFO community that says we have recovered craft, but we haven't figured out anything. We don't know anything. And then there's camps that are kind of in the middle. We figured out a couple things. We were able to reverse engineer some things, right? For instance, GPS, fiber optics, different things, right? So again, there's just a lot of different, thoughts and theories about all of this. But one part in particular that's kind of interesting, as you've noticed beforehand, you had Eric Burleson talking about, we got to get these people in a skiff, just trying to get them in a skiff. And then, Dr. Stephen Greer, don't do that. Don't get them in a skiff, right? So I don't know if Stephen Greer would be helping Burleson and these people try to get them a whistleblower if they're just going to put him in a skip, and he doesn't want to do that. He feels like that would compromise things, right? I guess I don't really know where to stand on that, to be honest with you, which is why dealing with the government disclosure thing is just so messy, right? But I do find that, interesting. And it's not the first time that Dr. Stephen Greer would say something that doesn't toe the line with what some of these other government disclosure advocates say, right? Say what you want about Stephen Greer, but he does take his own path, So it's kind of hard to tell, what's going on here. But that is interesting, right? And a lot of people have dismissed ARVs, or alien reproduction vehicles. And I don't know, the more I hear about it, the more I think it could be plausible. And maybe that is what people see, right? Now, I don't know. It implies a lot. If you believe in ARVs, then that means you believe we have craft and we've reverse engineered it, that we've figured out advanced technology from, a civilization far more advanced than us. But then I guess you'd have to ask the question, how much more advanced than us are they? It could be just 1,000 years, right? So maybe we could figure it out. I don't know. There's always this sort of, I've heard this analogy before. What if we dropped, a motorcycle 5,000 years ago in the desert? People found it. Would they be able to figure it out? What it is, how it works? First of all, it's made of materials they've never heard of and cannot engineer or fabricate the fuel. They've even had fossil fuels to do that, right? So there's a lot of things, but you may be able to get something from it. Maybe the mirror. You've never seen a mirror before, and you're like, oh, we could use this mirror, right? So it kind of makes me think, if this is true, that we would be somewhere in the middle with it. Not necessarily in some secret space program we're flying around with ARVs, but I don't know. So just kind of interesting to think about, right? Now, Stephen Greer's also talked about other whistleblowers coming forward. So I don't know, maybe he's talking about this one right here.
Actually, one of the whistleblowers you will hear from is a new one who was actually there in North Nellis Air Force Base, north of Area 51, on a live fire operation. There's a Green Beret that saw this come in, both a massive man-made triangle and a sphere. And so almost anything that is of ET looking superficially has been reverse engineered and deployed by humans. But the problem is members of Congress and everyone in the Pentagon and CIA don't know this. Certainly the politicians don't. Yeah. So this is what's really dangerous, is this fog of war. Like something like that happens, they make the snap decision as alien. Mm-hmm. It ain't.
Okay, so he's got a Green Beret whistleblower that may be coming forward, I guess, that saw a triangular craft, an ARV, right, and a sphere fly it in at Nellis, right, near Area 51. And the other one was Edwards Air Force Base, so maybe they're not the same one. And I guess they're just all these different whistleblowers ready to come out. So I don't know, right? But Stephen Greer's whistleblowers definitely tend to lean towards, this is our technology. Now, the second part of it becomes, where did the technology come from? Did we just engineer it ourselves from human ingenuity? Or we got help, right? We had help. I don't know, but it's very interesting, right? So look, let's move on to some clips from AJ's new podcast called The Basement. Again, I highly recommend this. This is going to be probably my favorite podcast right now. Like, it really is. I cannot wait to see more episodes. Seeing AJ sit down and just talk nonchalantly with people and have these conversations, man, am I in, y'all. So if you haven't checked it out already, please go check it out. Not that they need my help, but this is a great show. And what I like about AJ from the Y-Files is that he doesn't toe the line. He just thinks independently. Whether or not it fits the main narrative or not, you can just tell it's not really his concern. And he's clearly an established, amazing researcher, right? And he clearly has an amazing team behind him as well. So I really just align with the Y-Files and AJ and his brother Gino, who I've worked with, right? A lot. I have to be honest, because it shows me there is an audience that's willing to listen to things that aren't the mainstream UFO narrative, right? I mean, AJ famously told me he told me in an email that, he wasn't part of the UFO community, one of our correspondents. And I always like that. I don't want to be in the UFO community either. I just want to be in the vetted community, right? In the mysterious community, we're just trying to find out what's going on and let's have some fun while we do it community, right? That's much better, because I feel like once you join a community that's established, like, you do have to toe the line. Otherwise you get hate and trolling, and it's kind of amazing if you don't support government disclosure. It's amazing how many times I've been told, how does that help disclosure, Patrick? How does that help? Whoa. I didn't sign up for that. I didn't sign up to, quote, help this weird disclosure from the government, from intelligence officials. And you know what I mean? I don't know what their agenda is or what's going on. I'm here to talk about aliens and look into that, because that's what I'm excited about. The phenomena, right? Not the people trying to cover it up, essentially, right? So look, let's take a clip from AJ and Mike Barra on The Basement. Link down below to go check out the full episode. But listen to what AJ and Mike say, because I gotta admit, I agree.
So before we get to your videos, let's just wrap up on disclosure.
Okay.
I tend to not trust anyone from intelligence, military intelligence, naval intelligence, Air Force intelligence, pre-approved from the Pentagon. These sound like spokespeople to me, not whistleblowers.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you on this?
I'm 100% with you on that. You look at all these people that are influencing this congressional committee. Tim Burchett, stand-up guy,
Yep.
guy who wants to get to the truth, smart guy. Anna Paulina Luna, I think she's serious about this too.
Agreed.
But they're not getting the right advice from the right people. These people are part of the cover-up, they're not going to lead us to the truth. They're not going to lead us to the solution, because they all come from the intelligence community with the intelligence community agenda. As I've been watching this, it started with the TTSA videos in 2017. Why'd they release those? All of a sudden, it's aliens, UFOs, and everybody's on TV talking about aliens and UFOs. Elizondo comes out. He's telling us, this is a flying saucer, and that's a flying saucer. And by the way, I have a book deal and a TV show and all that
Right,
stuff.
and that photo is fake, and I apologize.
Yeah, I apologize for this crop circle, or crop thing being a UFO, not being a UFO, and the chandelier behind me, and
Yes.
Okay, so these people, Grush, I hate to say it, they don't have any credibility. Christopher Mellon, remember when Mellon got up there for TTSA in front of a picture of a birthday balloon? Talking about UAPs.
I do.
It's ridiculous.
People asked me what I thought about the age of disclosure. I said it made me furious because everybody who contributed was part of the IC.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time Hal Puthoff admitted to how they bury these SAPs inside private contractors to avoid FOIA requests. And I've been saying that a long time and get attacked for it. Here's his own words. This is how we hide it from you.
Yeah.
And I didn't see anyone. If you put James Clapper in...
Clapper, yeah.
He shouldn't be doing TV. He should be doing time.
Well, that may be coming, so let's wait and see how that works out. But yeah,
If there's justice, it's coming.
I agree, and I'm looking at these people, and I'm like, how did these people become UFO experts? I've been lucky. I've been on some shows. I've been on the news a few times, but how does Elizondo become the UFO spokesman? What is his job? What was his job at the Pentagon? Forgetting the whole ATIP thing, whether it even existed, whether he ever ran it. What's his job?
Counterintel?
He's an Army counterintelligence grunt. So what does he know about aerospace?
Wasn't
space travel?
Grush also counterintel, yes?
Grush was counterintel.
So is this a limited hangout? Are they dripping disclosure? Are they preparing us? Or is this all a smokescreen? What are they doing? Because they're doing something. And we're learning nothing.
Again, I just totally agree with that, right? They do, some of these whistleblowers just feel like spokespeople, right? And that's the thing. People come out, they talk about how hard it was for them to come out and how their life's in danger. So if you criticize, you look like an asshole, right? But is that part of their plan? right? Well, let me throw that out there. You'll feel guilty if you are skeptical of me. You'll feel guilty if you question me. No, I just try to put all that aside. You're coming out and making extraordinary claims. I'm going to criticize that. I can still walk and chew gum at the same time, meaning I can criticize the claims that you're making as a quote whistleblower, but also feel sympathy that you had things happen to you or you feel that your life is threatened. I mean, I'm a human being. In no way do I want someone or someone's family to be in danger in any way, right? But the fact that I can't hypothesize or criticize, their claims is kind of ridiculous, right? We can draw a line in the sand, separate the claims from the person, right? Essentially. So, because I believe a lot of these whistleblowers believe in what they're doing. I don't think they're part of some grand plan. But at the same time, it's hard to trust the stuff they're saying just because, again, it's always what they're told. It's what they're allowed to say from the government. I mean, how, you know what I mean? You're whistleblowing against the government, then you go ask them for approval of what you can say about the whistleblowing. Tell me if that makes sense. Again, and I know the comments are going to just rip this apart to some extent. But again, I still don't get it, no matter how many times you try to explain it and the mental gymnastics, right? But another part of this interview that was interesting, and again, I really liked, I never heard Mike Barra talk this long like this. I've seen him in different shows and whatnot. But just seeing this long, almost 4-hour conversation, I think it's 4 hours or more conversation. I listened to the whole thing. I rarely do that to a whole podcast like that, like not even at high speed either, just regular speed. I took it in. It was great because they talked about so many different things. But he's a really interesting guy. It'd be great to have a conversation with him, to be honest with you, and kind of throw back, hey, I think this and you think that, it's just cool. I mean, that's how that's part of the fun of this subject and this topic, right? He's clearly done a lot of research because he did present this video, okay, that I kind of teased at the beginning. And I found it to be absolutely fascinating. And you'll see why I'm showing this video, because it absolutely pertains to this conversation we're having. He actually showed a couple videos on the podcast. So again, I recommend going to watch it. And they go into further detail than I'm going to show. But basically, aboard one of the shuttles, they had a camera and it captured this UFO flying in to the atmosphere and then darting off into space, right? And it is kind of interesting, right? But again, you'll see why I'm showing it.
So there it pops up, flies along.
Yep.
Right over the horizon, and then
I see it.
bang.
Wow.
1 shot fired, 2 shots fired.
Wow.
45-degree turn instantly.
Into space.
Into space.
So this is not an aircraft reflection. That it flew into space.
Yep.
And what did we see? Were those launches?
So look, that is kind of interesting, right? And again, they go over way more about the video, and there's other things in the video. So I highly recommend going to check out the full episode to see all of that. But the reason I bring it up, and look, let's take a closer look at this thing. I mean, you can see it flying, right? First of all, you just see it dart into time, right? Into space, just boom, there, not space, but, into existence. You just see it pop in, right? And then, you just see it moving along, and then it just, boom, takes like a 45-degree turn and literally flies out into space. So what is that thing, man? I was baffled when I saw it, to be honest with you. It's probably one of the best UFO videos I've ever seen. And in the video, Mike and AJ talk about, why aren't they showing these kind of videos in the hearings, right? They're showing all these, like the hellfire and this stuff, which they, and the FLIR and the Go Fast and the gimbal, they don't think any of those are UFOs, at all. In fact, they talk about the hellfire just being a training balloon, and the things that fly off of it are transmitters. I mean, they thought it was a training exercise. So they don't believe any of those videos, and they think there's something weird going on, right? Clearly. And again, I kind of agree. And again, why aren't they showing, these kind of videos like this that do seem unexplainable, right? And again, these other things shoot off. You can see in the video, right? And you hear AJ ask, like, what is that firing off, right? They get into that whole conversation. So go check it out. Go check out the video to learn about that. But this is why I brought it up.
What did McClandish call it? The
ARV?
The ARV. I think these are ARVs because what you're talking about here is you're talking about how did NASA know that these shows were going to be put on? They were filming the STS-48. That was a film test. Let's test our railgun. Let's film it against one of our ARVs. That's what I don't think the aliens called up NASA and said, "Hey, we're going to be over Australia, Pine Gap. You want to take some shots at us, just for fun, test a few things out?" That's not what happened. So I think these are both physical evidence, in terms of video evidence of a secret space program that's operating.
If these craft are here to help us, why the hell are we shooting railguns at them?
To test our weaponry.
We can shoot down balloons instead, no?
Yeah, but it's, we're trying to get up to speed. I mean, that's what Star Wars was all about, right?
You see, Mike thinks this is an ARV, right? He thinks there is a secret space program, and we're out there testing these vehicles, and they do fly off into space, right? So I don't know. Just found that very interesting. Is that a video of an ARV that we just saw, right? Is that a video of reversed alien technology versus just alien technology? And I've got to be honest, I don't know if it's real. I don't know which one I'd be more excited about. The fact that, damn, we got our own, spaceship that we built off of a spaceship that crashed or that we had, right? It's like, wouldn't it be easier to just learn how to fly the spaceship that we have? But I guess maybe we would, build it in such a way that we would be able to fly it, right? I don't know. But then you'd have to wonder, what technology would you not include and include human technology to then build it, right? And how could we get the same materials? Again, if you dropped off a motorcycle 5,000 years ago, how are they getting the materials to build another motorcycle? They wouldn't be able to. So how are we able to build an ARV? I just don't think that it's possible, personally. Just my gut tells me that. It would be great if it were true, but I just don't see how that's possible, right? Clearly it'd be made of things we don't know how to make, right? We're making new materials all the time. We're synthesizing new compounds all the time. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Just seems odd that we would be able to do that and insert a human in again, and then not use the original vehicle, right? If you told me, no, we've recovered craft and we're flying around in those, that might be more believable, as crazy as that sounds. But like, we're building off of, how are we learning from? Again, so many questions that I have about ARVs. But regardless, let me know what you think in the comments. This is a very interesting concept. I almost would love to, do a video on just ARVs and just speculating about them, right? There's many people who have done deep dives to try to prove that they're real. I'm not really great, but I have a lot of questions of how an ARV could actually exist. So I don't know. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. This was a fun video to make. Let me know what you think about these whistleblowers, and are you excited for them coming forward, or is it just another person to come forward, tell a so-so story? They're not actually connected to the legacy program, right? It's just stuff they've heard, stuff they were told, right? That kind of gets old, right? And there is no confirmation that this whistleblower, one, is going to go public, two, has a connection to the UFO legacy program. So what does it really matter, right? Why are we not going straight to the horse's mouth here, right? It's like just this big game of telephone is getting old. All right, y'all. Links down below. We'll see you guys in the next one. Remember about us. Every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.
Well, brother, really appreciate you and your community. Just wanted to reach out and give a description of my encounter when I was about 12 years old. This is around the year of 2008. Me and my friends were my friend was going out to town. We were like sneaking out of my grandpa's house late at night, and town was like 2 miles from where my grandpa's house was. And we'd go to town of Rosendale on our bikes and stuff, and we'd mess around at night. It was nice because we had street lights, and that's what usually took us to town and couldn't sleep. We ended up going to town, and we had a pretty good time. Spent a couple hours, and we ride back across the bridge and bust a left onto the gravel road. As we're going down this gravel road, we see this just bright light, just huge light, like on the other side of the river because of how the tree line and the road is. There's like a tree line that's probably like 2 or 3 football fields wide of strip of land between the river and the gravel road by the bridge there. And as we were riding our bikes, that light was just going down the side of the river along the top of the timber, and it was so bright. It was like a white, bluish, greenish, and I want to say it was an orb, because when it was riding the tree line, we were kind of freaked out, and we're like, whoa, look at that, and we kept kind of walking. And we're walking as this thing's still kind of coming towards us, but right at the tree line. As it comes towards us, we both look at each other, and we're trying to figure out what that could be. And the light, pretty much, we got to the bend, and the light was still over by the river. And after that, I remember talking about it, but we don't ever remember the part from that to getting back to my grandpa's house. And it stuck with us. It's just like black. My friend, I would give his name, but I don't know if he's comfortable with that yet. He had the same description as I did, so we weren't dreaming, and it really freaked us out in the moment. And we told a couple other people,